Hello, AP students. This is Mrs. Politsky, and I have notes for Chapter 10, Social Cognitive Theories. As we follow along, make sure you have your handout ready and put your notes where they belong. So here we go. Social cognitive theories. Cognitive psychology is solidly a scientific tradition, unlike our psychodynamic or humanistic theories. The cognitive approach looks at the specific influences on personality and also behavior without assuming to explain everything. And one of our theorists is somebody who we have talked about already, Albert Bandura, and he did a lot of work in observational learning. Bandura's view about why we behave the way we do and why our personality is the way it is for the most part not driven by inner forces or environmental influences alone, but our expectation of how our actions might affect others, the environment, or ourselves. And we learn vicariously by observing others to see how they're rewarded or punished for the things that they do. Our personalities are shaped by interactions with others. And this is where all this comes together with the idea of observational learning, the process of learning new responses by watching others' behavior. Personality is a collection of learned behavioral patterns, many of which have been borrowed from others. So if you're watching other people in your family or watching your peers, this is why you might behave the way you do. Through observational learning, people learn what behavior gets rewarded and which behaviors get punished or which behaviors get ignored. And he kind of came up with this concept known as reciprocal determinism. This is the process in which cognitions, behavior, and the environment all mutually influence one another. So as we're kind of watching and learning others, we're looking at all these things and we're kind of pulling it all together into this reciprocal determinism. Another theorist was a guy named Julian Rorter, who you see pictured below here. He came up with the idea of locus of control, which we have already talked about this year. This, for the most part, tells us the way we act depends on our sense of personal power or our locus of control. And a locus of control is an individual's sense of where his or her life's influence originate. So if an individual has an internal or external disposition, this seems to be a reliable personality characteristic, although Rorter, for the most part, resisted calling this a trait because he believes that the term conveys kind of an erroneous idea of internality and externality is fixed and unchanging. So if you remember back to the locus of control, if you have an internal locus of control, you control your destiny, but if you have an external locus of control, it seems like others control your destiny. Evaluating the social cognitive approach. Critics believe that this approach, for the most part, overemphasizes information processing and overlooks both emotion and unconscious processes as an important component of personality. A real stretch of the social cognitive theory is the foundation of solid psychological research. So again, it's the same kind of issues that we're having to deal with when we talk about our Freudians and Neo-Freudians and our humanists. Some current trends within this area, we might talk a little bit more about family system theories. This is the idea that the basic unit of analysis is not the individual but their family. And this perspective says that a personality is shaped by the ways people interact in the family or in their peer group. And new emphasis on the interaction, on the way that members of a family or a peer group influence each other. You might hear a little bit about the concept of codependence or codependency, meaning that we might have some dependent personalities, and the concept of communication instead of just merely talk. Psychology is increasing awareness of cultural differences. There are a lot of articles on personality coming outside of the not necessarily coming outside of the Western Europe and North America. Matter of fact, the majority of all psychological research is kind of focused in the Western Hemisphere. Harry Trendis in 1995 warned us that people who grow up in a collectivist society may not have the need for individual achievement as those who do grow up in individualistic societies do. No cultural approach is superior to that of the others. Also, there's an increasing appreciation for gender influences. We do not know the nature-nurture influences of our understanding of gender differences, but we do know that males and females often perceive situations differently. For example, males tend to be a little more physically aggressive than females. Females, for the most part, have a tendency to form close relationships in small, equal status groups, while males, for the most part, connect in larger groups. Thank you very much.